Good morning, friends. Cheryl here with Ink Pulp. We are back with another Art Before Breakfast. How is everybody doing? I'm just looking at some of these little snippets here for the cover. Don't have anybody in here yet, but we don't know if these are going to work. They're not the right colors. We could make a purple one. I'm just looking around at what's kind of on my desk and around. I'm loving this, absolutely loving this. So all we got to do today, and I was hoping to get some pictures from Mimi. Let me zoom out a little bit here. It looks like I'm zoomed in a little bit too far. There we go. So it looks like I've got one in here, but we got to finish this up today. We got to finish it up today. Oh, I'll show you guys the piece that we were working on Saturday. I got this all done. I put this little tag topper on here and tied it on with some of this same fabric I used for the pockets. And then I stitched down, I added some little fabric tabs to these, and then I did messy stitching all around it, covered them on the back with some paper. Same thing here. I did the messy stitching all around and then covered it. And then here are the copper pieces. I did 3 little spirals there, and I put this one down here. I didn't put anything on the back. It's white, so I may put a piece of like tracing paper or something on that. But anyway, it's growing on me. I didn't like it when we worked on it the other day, but it is growing on me. Very busy. Got a lot going on. But I also like, I had one button up here and I thought, oh, one. But then I've got 1, 2, 3. So it makes that triangle for just little round embellishments. So I'm happy about that. All right, so that's the piece I finished up on Saturday. Hope you all had a good Sunday. I see I've got 3 in here, but nobody is speaking up just yet. So I didn't get the thing from Mimi. I've got this. We've got kind of the lighter pink in here. I don't really want to introduce pink though. This is kind of a purple thing. So what I was thinking is that maybe I could make some little lace flowers. And let's see, I've got this. This would be good for a flower. That would be good. It's a little too big. That would be good. So what I'm thinking, what I might do here, see what else I've got over here. What I was thinking is, let's get our little needle here. And this time I'm just going to use white thread. I'm not going to use the embroidery floss. But I thought we could make some little lace flowers and put maybe 2 or 3 lace flowers on the front. What do y'all think about that? I know most of you aren't talking, but so let's start with this one that's a little bit bigger. Yeah. Oops. It's just a little piece of it, so maybe that will be enough. Oh, it's Monday morning. How's everybody doing? I guess, for me, Monday is just like any other day, so I guess I shouldn't be lamenting that it's Monday morning because I work from home for myself, so I'm just gonna make this into a little knot here. And then we'll start gathering it. And I will gather it and make the base of the flower, and then we can put a couple more layers on top. And then maybe a pretty button in the middle. So let me just tie it here. Okay, where's all my peeps this morning? All right, so I'm just gonna stitch this across, and then we'll pull it tight and turn this into the base of our flower. So I'm not really paying attention to, whether or not I'm getting exact equal stitches. It really doesn't matter, just so long as I have stitches across. So let's see. So I put up a 12-minute tips yesterday, and for those of you who aren't aware, or are fairly new to my channel, I used to do a 12-minute tips video periodically, and they were like tips and tricks and hacks and things like that, but they were short videos under 12 minutes long, 12 minutes or more or less, so they were just really short. And I hadn't done them in a long time. And then we've been doing so many cool things in Art Before Breakfast that could be tips for somebody else. So I decided that it was yesterday, I would go ahead and post one. And so I did. I'm going to do more of those. So if you haven't seen it, I have a playlist for 12-minute tips. And I would encourage you to go and watch some of those if you see anything that looks like it might be of interest to you. Okay, I ran out of lace here. It's kind of cut off a little bit, so let's cut it off all the way. And then let's just pull this tight until we get a flower. So let me pull this tight and then secure that. So it stays ruffled as we're forming it into the flower. All right, so there's that. sometimes these don't come together exactly right, so you got to cut it at a little bit of an angle. And there we go. When we pull that down. Hey, Cheryl. I'm trying to make a lace flower here, but I'm struggling a little bit. All right, let's sew this together. And I know it doesn't lay down flat, but we can make it lay down flat. I'm not so worried about that. So I didn't get pictures from Mimi. I was hoping to get some pictures so that I could put on the front of this, but come on. I didn't get anything. So Mimi had said that she's very girly. So I thought we'd put some lace flowers on here. The problem is they don't want to lay down real flat, so I'm just going to put a little snip in that. And we'll just pull it around enough that we make it work. All right. Hi, Tammy. Happy Monday. And maybe this lace is too wide or maybe I didn't get enough of it to make it. Maybe I needed like one more piece in there. Let's put one more piece in there. Nothing says we can't do it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it the way it is. We will work with it. When we start getting the other layers on, we can, or I can, you know, pull it around a little more. Have you guys ever made these lace flowers? I don't know that I think I have, but it's been a long time, and I obviously am not an expert at it. I just want to get this tacked down. So is your voice back today, Cheryl? Cheryl told me she had lost her voice yesterday. You haven't made these before? Okay, well I'll get a little bit better when I do the other layers. So these are just basically round circles of lace that I gather and we'll lay them down. All right, so there's that. And so it'll go something like that, all bundled up, and then we'll have another layer on top of it. And I think when we get the other layer, it'll do better. Let's see, how about, let's do a layer of kind of not great. Oh, this is not just ruffled on one edge. I don't know if I want that. Hang on. I do like the idea of an eyelet, but I don't want a double eyelet. That's going to be too much. What about seam ripper time? Oh yeah. That's what I could do to make this lay flatter. Is I could go at it with, sorry about that. I could feel that coming. We can do tattered lace flowers. Thank you. Big Mama, how you doing? Can make a shabby. I don't know why I sneeze every time I come down here. I was going to record a sale yesterday. It's going to have to wait till today. I was going to do a video sale. But I started working on nightlights, and Big Mama on the list is your three crosses on the hill, yours and Mimi's, and Cheryl has some that are, oh yeah, look at that. And so when we lay that out, that's going to be pretty. All right, what should we put on next? Should I put a layer of this? Or should I find something a little more shabby? How come I have all these pins laying out here? Okay, where'd my needle go? I had my needle with my thread on it, and it's gone. Is it on the floor? No. Let me find some other laces here. Just a second. Because I know I've got more. Let's see here. What have I got? Oh, let's use a piece of this old lace. So we'll have a layer of the antique lace. All right. I've got some. Be right back. Coffee's ready. I want to do. That one might be too big. Hang on. I got to mute you guys for a second. That sneeze made me need to blow my nose. Hang on. I'm back. Oh, I did talk to Mike the other day. On his channel, he was, oh yeah, let's use this one. But once again, I don't know what I did. How could I have lost it? It was right here. It was right here. There's the seam ripper. How could I have lost that needle? I need to buy some more needles. Oh, I have to take this call. This is my doctor. I'm going to put you on mute. Yes, I know I muted. That was my doctor was calling. No, they're still trying to mess with my blood sugar numbers and get them right. And my doctor didn't call in the prescription, and my blood sugar shot up. It was really high this morning. And so I had called them and said, I need that prescription. And that was them calling back. So still just trying to work through the whole blood sugar thing and get it regulated again. So you have the needle. Ugh. Now, you never told us before how you pronounce or what you want us to call you. Is it Hui? And if you have my needle, please bring it back. And please tell me what you would like us to call you and how to pronounce it so we get it correct. Please bring my needle back. All I have are these great big ones left now. I got to order some needles. I got to do that today so they get here. All right, let me go a little bit farther. And we'll put one of these layers on. Oh, no. I was just doing stuff while I was talking on the phone. I'm one of those people that I cannot have idle hands. I have to be doing something. And when I'm on the phone, I doodle or, I do something. Okay. Let's see if this is enough. Yep, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. I'm going to call you Hawaii. If I don't see you tell me something different, I'd rather call you whatever you'd like to be called. If you just tell me. What in the world did I do? Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did. Idle hands are the devil's work, you know. Or the devil's play, isn't it? Idle hands are the devil's play. I don't know. I don't know what the saying is, but I just know it's not good to have idle hands. The devil's somewhere in there. Oh, yeah, this one's making a much nicer flower. Um, no, but I remember in 7th grade, I got in trouble all the time for making paper airplanes and flying them at people in the classroom. I did used to get in trouble for that. I don't know how I did this, but I got double threads here, but that's all right. I didn't used to draw a lot, but passing notes, oh yeah, that was back in the day when passing notes was the big thing. Um, in fact, it's funny because I'll have to bring some in here one of these days and read some to you. I had found a box of stuff from my school days, and in it were all these notes that we used to pass back and forth. It was crazy. And they'd have little check boxes on them, like, do you like so and so? and you would, check the box, yes or no. Oh my gosh. I remember those days. All right. So there's the next layer on top of that other one. I'm not sure that I'm really liking this layer. I may redo it. Because I don't think this particular lace, I don't like it seam ripped. So let me see if I can cut it back a little. And if I like it, I'll still use it. And if not, we'll make a different layer. Yeah, I used to, there, that's better. And that's better on there. I like that better. All right. So we have that. That's the antique lace. And I'm still not sure if I'm liking that bottom layer because see, it's kind of split apart here now because I cut off where I stitched it. Okay, needle, don't. So let's see, what other, I don't know if this is a good type of lace. Maybe there's certain types of lace that bunch up better than others. I don't know. Let's try a piece of this. Big Daddy used to pass a lot of notes. Yeah, and it was all gossipy stuff about so and so thinks you're mad at her, and do you like this person, and it's just all, quite frankly, it reminds me of some of the drama in this daggum community that we're a part of. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to do this in junior high school. He flew paper airplanes all the time. Well, I'm going to tell you something, and there was a guy in my social studies class, and he was Hawaiian or Samoan, one of the two. And he was a big guy. And he got the nickname Buddha. And everybody just, that was his thing. And he just went by that. And so I would make paper airplanes, and on the side of them, I would write Buddha Airlines and fly them over to him. And he'd laugh, and, we'd do it all behind the teacher's back. My teacher was Mrs. Peabody. And we tortured that poor lady in a good-natured way. Hi, Pam. Hey, Mike. Um, and so as soon as Mrs. Peabody's back was turned and she was writing on the chalkboard, and yes, back then we had real chalkboards. As soon as her back was turned, it wasn't just me, other people did too. We'd fly airplanes, and then he'd fly them back to us, and it was just something we did. And every once in a while she'd turn around and catch us, and we had a lot of fun in her class. Her class was right after lunch, and she would always put assignments up on the board. She'd write them out, like draw a map. It was social studies class, draw a map of, whatever area, region, country. And so she would, put her assignments up on the board. Well, we would go in early to her class before she got there, and we would change the assignments. We would change the area that we were supposed to draw a map of, or we would, I don't know, we just mess with her assignments. Or if she said, read so-and-so pages in the book, we would change the page numbers. We just always mess with her. And she'd come in, And she couldn't help but laugh because it was kind of funny, but she'd be annoyed with us. And I say us because it was the whole class that did that stuff. Sometimes I did it, sometimes somebody else did it, but we used to mess with Mrs. Peabody. And she loved us. She couldn't help but laugh. I got a big old knot in my thread here. So, hi, April. So, yes, we used to torture Mrs. Peabody. One time, there was a kid, I don't remember his name. He was shooting rubber bands in the class. And I guess we just had all this extra energy from the lunch period. I don't know. But he was shooting rubber bands and she caught him. So she walks over to his desk and he sat right in the front row. She walks over to his desk and she says, "All right, hand him over." She wanted the rest of the rubber bands. He's like, "That's all I have. Honest, that's all I have." And she says, "Hand him over." And she, well, crap. Did something really stupid here. She told him, she said, "Hand him over. I know you have more." So he reaches down and he starts pulling up his pant leg because he had them hidden in his socks, but his socks were knee-length socks. And so he's pulling his pants up and up and up, and you just see these socks going clear up. I think they might have even gone over his knees. I don't know if they were his sisters or what, but it was so funny. And poor Mrs. Peabody, she was laughing so hard, but she wanted to be mad at him. And then he rolled his socks down, and there were the rubber bands in his socks. So yes, we had fun times in school. That was back in the day when things were still pretty innocent, you know? Didn't have all the crap like we have today. See, these aren't laying down flat, and I'm not quite sure. I guess it's because I don't have a scallop. Maybe you need a scalloped edge. I don't know, but I'm not happy with any of this. Not with any of it except this one. Well, we could just do this one, and then I could put a little crochets. That's a wonderful story. Oh, yeah, we had fun in Mrs. Peabody's class. And my best friend was Cindy Underwood. And I don't even know whatever happened to her. We could do just a 2-layer flower because I bet I could get this to layer up since it's already ruffled. Oh, I have so many stories. I was mischievous when I was a kid. I wasn't bad, but I was mischievous. Back in the day, back in the day, and yes, I always had on my early report cards that I talked too much. I was too talkative, and I still am. Y'all want to know something? A silly fact about me? When I was 18 and I had not ever had a car or a driver's license, and I had actually moved out of my parents' house when I was 17. So I was on my own, and I had a boyfriend who helped me because I didn't have a car and I needed a way to get around. I was living in San Francisco, and it was 1970, late 77 or early 78. And he took me down. He was a motorcycle guy, and he took me down to the Honda shop and he helped me buy a motorcycle. So before I ever had a car, see, why is this doing this? Oh, there it is. I just had to pull it tighter. Maybe I had to just pull those other ones tighter. Um, so I rode a motorcycle for a long time before I ever had a car. And I don't have any pictures of that. Back then we didn't have cell phones and cameras with us all the time, and I was young. I didn't even think of taking pictures. That was not top priority on my mind. So big old gap in that. So anyway, do I talk you guys' ear off? I don't know. I just like to get on here and talk. You guys keep me company. So anyway, I didn't go to college right away after school. I did that later. I worked at a steamship company. They're out of business now, but they were called Farrell, Farrell lines. You can look them up on Google and read all about them. But they ran steamships, like cargo ships, for companies. And I worked there. And the guys especially were fascinated. I mean, these are like, married men with children, and they were just fascinated that little old me rode a motorcycle. I was pretty tiny back then. And so one day, one of the guys, his name was Pete, I'll never forget it. He wanted to know at lunchtime if I would give him a ride on my motorcycle. That's what it was. I wasn't putting enough lace around it. That was the problem. So I took him out, and we were downtown San Francisco, Market Street, San Francisco, if you've ever been there. Right below the clock tower, at the entrance to the Bay Bridge. And we went out, and he got on the back of my motorcycle, and I took him for a ride around downtown. We came back, and was it his boss or my boss? They sat in offices right next to each other, and they were pretty good friends. It was either his boss or my boss called me in to their office, and they said, we'd really appreciate if you didn't, give people rides on your motorcycle on work time. They were afraid that they were going to get, that I would wreck. Hi, Donna. And they would have a workman's comp claim on their hands because it happened at work. So that was the end of my giving people rides on my motorcycle, but they still thought it was pretty cool. And back then, do you gals, and I don't know, Mike, maybe you knew of this. Do you gals remember the gunny sax dresses? They had big fluffy skirts like the prairie girl dresses. I loved those things, and I had a lot of them. And I would go out and get on my motorcycle with my gunny sax dress and my platform shoes, and I would wrap all the extra fabric from the dress around my knees and clamp it up to the gas tank on my motorcycle, and I would ride like that. And it's a wonder I didn't kill myself, honestly. I did too. But can you just picture me? Platform shoes and a gunny sax dress, riding on a motorcycle. One time I was coming out of the house I was living in, it had a garage. And there were no garage door openers on these old houses in San Francisco. And so I'd lift up the garage door and, pull my bike out, put the kickstand down, then I'd get off it and go close the garage door before I left. Well, one morning I pulled my motorcycle out of the garage, and apparently I didn't let the kickstand down all the way. And as I got off the bike and turned around to, oh, now that's pretty. That's what I wanted. Look at that. Isn't that pretty, y'all? Should I put one more layer? We're already at 41 minutes. Should I put one more layer on here? And so as I am closing the garage door, I could hear movement in my bike, and I turned around and looked, and it was tipping over because the kickstand wasn't down all the way. I could put a little purple right in the middle. How about that? And so there lay my bike on the ground. I couldn't pick it up. I wasn't strong enough. I rode a Honda Hawk 400. It was the first automatic motorcycle that I knew of, and you can Google it. I had the blue one. It was a Honda Hawk 400, but it had gears. It had like 3 gears, but there was no clutch. I didn't have to do a clutch. And so my bike fell over. I could not pick it up. And down the street, come walking down the street, is this great big guy. I mean, he was big, real tall and stocky built. And I said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "Could you help me pick up my motorcycle?" He picks it up, and I happened to be wearing one of those gunny sex dresses that day. He picked it up, and he says to me, "You're not going to ride that thing, are you?" I said, "Yep, I sure am." Oh, that was one of my good memories. Purple in the middle. Okay, I'm working on it. Do you guys, am I boring y'all with my stories? It's like going back in time and I'm reliving my youth. But if I'm boring you, I will stop. Oh, well, pooh. You love the stories? I've had a pretty I've had a pretty eventful life in my time. I will tell you though that living on my own in San Francisco in the 70s, and I eventually got a roommate. It was one of the girls that I lived with or I worked with. Her and I got an apartment together. Um and we had this whole group of people that we hung out together, and oh my gosh, those were some of the best years of my life. Just free, unencumbered, living life to the fullest, not a care in the world. And then I got my heart broke, and I decided, oh, I have another funny story to tell you guys. I decided to move, and the reason I moved out at 17 on my own, my dad was in the Army, and he was stationed in San Francisco when I was in high school. And just before I was going to graduate, like a couple months before I was graduating, he was getting out of the Army, and they were moving up to Washington State, which is where I'm from. And they were moving up to Washington State, and I was like, I've almost graduated. Like, I'm not. And so my mom stayed behind with me, and we stayed with some of their friends. And even before I graduated, I was just, my mom was giving me such a hard time, and it was just not a pleasant time in my life. And so I finally got my parents to agree to let me move out on my own. And I did. And this guy, I didn't have the motorcycle at that time. This guy that I was seeing, his mother had a basement apartment in her house. And so she let me stay there and pay a little bit of rent. I had to get a job. And so I lived in this little basement apartment, and it was so cool. It was just so cool. And that's how I ended up on my own at 17. Well, after I got my heart broke, not by that guy, but a different guy, I got my heart broke, and I decided to go ahead and move up to Washington to where my parents were. And so I left my motorcycle behind. My interest rate was so high. I mean, I was young. I was what, 18, 19 years old. My interest rate was so high on the motorcycle because I was just a kid. I mean, I was paying 20 some percent interest. I had paid enough interest on that loan, and it was held by the dealership. It wasn't a bank. I had paid enough interest on that loan that I had more than paid for the motorcycle. So I just called them up when I was ready to leave, and I said, "It's in my driveway. Come pick it up. You can have it back." And they did, and they said they weren't even going to report it on my credit because, they basically got their money worth back, and they got the motorcycle back. So I left it there. But anyway, that's my motorcycle story. And I never got another one. Now, my husband, my current husband, he used to ride motorcycles, and he would always try to get me to ride with him, and I never would. And he's like, "Why? You used to ride a motorcycle." I said, "And that's why I won't ride with you, because I'm not in control. I'm used to being, the one driving and controlling it." And I said, if I, because like when he would come to a stop sign, I would want to put my foot down on the ground because that's what you do on a motorcycle. And I just didn't like, I just felt like I just didn't have control, and I didn't like riding on the back of it. So I never did, because you're very vulnerable and exposed on a motorcycle. So I ended my motorcycle days. I used to, has anybody here been to San Francisco? Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. It's really thick, but it's on the front of this little thing. So isn't that pretty? With the purple on top. Okay, I'm going to stitch this together. Oops, dropped lace in my coffee. So I'll tell you one other really funny story. Again, this is of my youth. When I left San Francisco. I moved out of San Francisco, and I moved to Palo Alto, um, which is where Stanford University is. And let me just tie this on here. Was living in Palo Alto, and I used to go. There was a little coffee shop on the campus. And again, remember, this is back in the 70s, so it's still the hippie days. But people used to go, and, they had like an open mic thing, and people would go and play music. And it was just kind of a cool, really cool vibe in there. And so, I was single on my own. I used to take a book, and I'd go to the coffee shop, and I'd sit in the back so the music wasn't too loud. And I would just sit there and read my book. Well, one day this guy comes up to me, starts talking to me. He's young, like my age. So it could have been a student there. And he's kind of like a surfer kind of dude, the way he was talking. And he told me his dad was a professor on the campus. He didn't go to school there, but his dad was a professor at Stanford. So I'm like, okay, well, this guy can't be too bad. Well, he asked me out for dinner. He asked me if I go to dinner with him. And I said, sure. Because, back in those days, when you're single and on your own, like having somebody take you to dinner, that can be the only time you get a decent meal for the week. So I said, sure. So he showed up at my apartment and he has this little bouquet of wildflowers that he had picked along the road. It was really cute. And he handed me these wildflowers. And I'm like, oh, how corny. I mean, I was a kid and they were wrapped in tinfoil and it was just really corny. And so I said, thank you. And he takes me to this vegetarian restaurant, which was fun. I didn't know a lot about it back then. And we never heard of vegan back then. It was just vegetarian. And so he takes me to this restaurant and the waitress comes up and they had these kind of organic milkshakes that they did there. And they were berries, like strawberry or, oh, Mimi sent me photos. She sent 8 photos. So I'm going to make this, well, crap. I'm going to make this flower still. We'll put it on here, but then we'll put photos on tomorrow. So anyway, they had these shakes and they were, every week they would have a different berry that they would, oh, come on, hang on. I can't talk and do some at the same time. This eye is huge and I still can't get the thread in it. The waitress comes up and she says, would you like a berry of the week shake to start? And he looks up at her. Now, remember what she said, a berry of the week. He looks up at her and he says, oh, I'm having a very good week. Thank you. I tried not to laugh. I knew right then and there that this guy and I weren't going to become an item. And I'm like, just eat your dinner and get out of here. And so I still tell that story. That was my berry of the week date. And we get back to my house and he says, can I kiss you goodnight? And I said, no, I don't think so. Oh, Lordy. That was, I had some great adventures. I had a very good week. Thank you. All right. So there's the flower. Oh my gosh, we're already at 55 minutes. I have been talking so much. I'm trying to do this flower, but what do you guys think of that for on there? And then we can put some photos around it, or we can put it down here and put photos up here. And I'll probably put like a large pearl in the middle there. But what do you think of that as a flower? Isn't that pretty? So what I learned from the first couple that I made is you have to have enough lace on there to really go all the way around or it starts buckling under. So there's that. And then, like I said, Mimi sent me, she just sent them. I just got them. She says, sorry, I kept forgetting. Oh, oh, you guys. Look at the pictures. Isn't that great? So we're going to get some good pictures. I might print them small so we can maybe get like 5 of them on there. And we'll back them with a little lace or something. But there's that. I'm going to go print out Miss You All. Hopefully I'll be on tomorrow. So there's that, and then we still need to put some charms on there. But what do you guys think about this? You guys like it? Everybody's gone really quiet. What do you guys think? Come on, give me some input. I'm going to wind up these laces and get them put away. As you all know, I'm trying to be good about staying organized. Anybody still here? Button or bling? Yeah, I was thinking about a pearl, or I could do whatever in the middle, but I'll wait till I'm putting it on so that it doesn't, I'll wait till I'm actually gluing it down to do that. But we made a lace flower, and so if you've never done that before, you now can see how to make those lace flowers. There's that. I used to be so good about pinning all these down so they stayed, and then I kind of got lazy with it. So before we go, let me just show you. That one's pinned. This from from Saturday. Oh, that's coming up. I got to put a little more glue under that. This from Saturday. I glued down the little copper spirals and one down there. I stitched the little cards and I put a little tag on there. Stitch the cards. Oh, and I backed them with some of that paper. And I put a topper on it. And I like it. I like the three round items that kind of make the triangle. And I'm liking it a whole lot more than I did when I first made it because it wasn't my favorite. But I'm actually liking it a little bit better now. So we are at 58 minutes. I'm going to call it a day. And I'm going to go print those pictures from Mimi on some matte photo paper and cut them out. And oh my, this is a mess. Then I'll cut them out and we'll play with those tomorrow and finish this. What's really neat? The flower? Were you the one who said you haven't seen those made, Tammy? Yeah, you just run a little stitch around them, like a basting stitch, and then pull it tight. All right. Well, thumbs up if you haven't already. I'm going to thumbs up mine. You know I love you all. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry. I'm going to call this one Story Time. Story Time and Lace Flowers. Because all I did was tell stories, but it made my heart happy to go back and remember those times. So thank you for putting up with my stories. I promise not to do that every time. And Mike, yes, I talked you guys' ear off today. All right, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.